if a person truly loves God, then they are going to love his word, because his word is his self-revelation. He reveals himself through his word. He reveals sin and righteousness through his word. He reveals truth and lie in his word. He reveals what pleases him and what displeases him through his word. So if a person rejects his word, and if a person despises his word, and if a person does not love his word, then they're showing that they don't actually love God. And that's serious, because there are many people who claim that they love Jesus, but really they just love an idea about him. They just love an idea about God. They don't actually love God himself, because they reject what he reveals about himself. When Jesus said, if you love me, then you'll keep my word. And my Father and I will love you and will make our home with you. That's in John 14. In John 8, Jesus said, if you are truly my disciples, then you will abide in my word. You'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so there's obviously a correlation between loving God and loving his word. There's obviously a correlation between being a disciple of Jesus Christ and keeping and abiding his word. If a person is a Christian, then that means that they're going to be led by Christ. It means they're a follower of Jesus Christ. And so if a person is a Christian, their desire will be for his word. Their desire will be for the truth that he reveals, the goodness that he reveals, the life that he reveals through his word. If a person rejects his word, then they're rejecting him. If a person despises his word, then they're despising him. You don't love God if you don't love his word. You're not a Christian if you want Jesus to be your Savior, but you refuse to allow him to be Lord over your life. If a person really loves God, their desire is going to be to please the one who saved them. So if there's no desire in a person's heart, if there's no longing in a person's heart to please him, to live in obedience to him, to live and walk by his word, then I don't believe that there's been salvation in that person's life. I don't believe there's been salvation in that person's heart. If there's no desire for obedience, if there's no sorrow for sin, then there has been no salvation in that person. The person is not born again who has no desire to please God. The Bible puts it this way in 1 John chapter 3. It says, if a person is born of God, then they cannot go on sinning. They can't make a practice of sinning. They can't keep on sinning because God's seed abides in them. So if God lives and dwells in a person, if his spirit is on the inside of a person, if his love is on the inside of a person, then their desire is going to be to please God. It doesn't mean that they'll never stumble. It doesn't mean there's never going to be temptations or trials or anything like that. But it does mean that the person's overwhelming motive and desire is going to be to live for him. And the Bible asks another question in Psalm 119, which is historically attributed to King David, but actually it's anonymous. There's no name attached to the psalm. But the psalmist asks a question and says, how can a young man keep his way pure? And if you're listening to this and you're not a young man, well, how can anyone keep their way pure? And it says, by guarding it according to your word. So again, if a person loves God, then they're going to want to obey God. And how can you obey? How can you keep your way pure? How can you follow him apart from his word? If a person loves God, then they will love his word. If a person does not love his word, then they do not love God.